Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years. He hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try to get it. That is a war that's got to be settled. I'm going to get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately, because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. He must be a good, strong part of negotiation. Well, it wasn't. Because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead. And it's only getting worse. And it could lead to World War III. Don't beat yourself, David. We're fighting with World War III. And we have a president that we don't even know if he's. Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president. They roll out of the campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president that doesn't know he's alive. Your time is up. Just a clarifying question. Do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war? I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done. Negotiate a deal. Because we have to stop all of these human lives. Support for Ukraine in this moment, but also as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you do it?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe the reason that Donald Trump said that he was going to within 20 months is because he was going to give it up. And that's not I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to define one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American
It's giving. Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in.
To Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies.
I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier, and I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow, quiet please, he would have been sitting in Moscow much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the...
Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, and I met with him about upholding international rules and norms. As a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are going to look out for our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States and the American people have a right ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen, he's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen, for years we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying, one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you. Otherwise, we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today at Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I would say I agree with President Biden. Four presidents, and Joe Biden. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that anyway. As of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He called himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called
Shall we taste of this?
The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this, And the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David.
Delicious.
A place of storied significance for us in America.